understand cultural studies today, and especially in today's university and academic climate, which I think, as you say in your book, is very much focused on sameness and the similarity. So who would you suggest should be concerned about this, this phenomenon, the U-turn moment, the Western Universalism, and the digestion?
Okay, the Westerner who's going into this journey needs to know what he'll have to give up at some stage in order to really go all the way. And gurus don't want to tell them that, because gurus want lots of easy converts, easy disciples, without giving them a full disclosure saying that you go into yoga at some point in time, the ideas of yoga and the practice of yoga are going to collide with, for instance, the Nicene Creed in Christianity, which talks about original sin and very historical things.
So you're then assuming that most Western civilizational accomplishment and thought is predicated on a Christian,
not necessarily,
Judeo-Christian ethic?
Judeo-Christian, and then the Enlightenment movement, starting with Hegel, continues a Western chauvinism and a Western exclusive idea of historical
so
superiority.
then the rationalistic trend of the Enlightenment philosophers
has
actually,
the same problem.
All right, it results in the same kind of phenomenon of
Yes.
That superiority.
Yes.
That's a very interesting kind of approach. So if that's the kind of the thrust of the Western movement, what would you say is approaching it to as the antagonist from the Indian side in being different?
Well, the Indians have bought into this Western universalism. The gurus have started translating Sanskrit words into English even when that distorts. For example, they've started replacing Atman with soul, even though soul does not reincarnate and soul does not exist in animals or plants, and Atman does. So even though the meaning of soul is not the same as Atman, you kind of distort the meaning of Atman when you replace it with soul. It's popular to do that. It's easy to do that. It's kind of an easy way out.
All right. So you're suggesting that they do that in order to establish that
the gurus are helping digest, helping us get digested.
All right, that's
a lot of digestion is because the gurus compromise, Deepak Chopra type people compromise. So it dilutes the tradition into digestibility. So it takes something which may not be digestible, which has its own legitimacy, which demands being respected as itself, and it brings it down like the enzymes in the stomach to a reduced form, so it's easy to digest, and that's good for the person who's facilitating. He can make a good business out of that. So I think the gurus are into this, and as far as Indian intellectuals are concerned, they are so anglicized in their education. All the universities in India, they're teaching Western philosophy in the philosophy departments, Western anthropology models being applied now by Indians, the Western models of history and sociology being applied. So in the humanities, the Western universalism has sort of become entrenched, and I call that mental colonization. So so I would say the resistance does not exist, and I am trying to create that resistance by writing this book.
Okay, I see. So then the book is written and the groundwork is laid for this revolution. Now, how do you envision that taking place? Let's say that we see a copy of your book in the hands of most university students. What kind of changes do you anticipate taking place?
I just came from a month-long tour of India, and I had 15 events.
Okay.
So University of Delhi has decided to adopt this book for their MA class, starting in 2012.
Congratulations.
So I expect, and IIT Kanpur, IIT Madras really liked it, Amrita University, so 3 or 4 academic institutions really liked it, and I'm invited back to several more academic institutions, including Banaras Hindu University, IIT Kharagpur, in my next trip, which is in January. So one segment of people that I'm able to get into already, even in 1 month, is the academy, certain parts of the academy. The second group are gurus. I had 4 guru movements invite me and teach their students who are now going to become swamis and acharyas in the next few years. And these are not sort of trivial people, they are very big name people.
Oh, they're very
so
influential.
I was very influential. I spent many hours giving a seminar on how you should keep certain things non-translated, how you should reverse the gaze and understand the West on your own terms. And we have a Sanskrit word, purva paksha, which means my view of the other. And this is an old technique of debating among different schools within India. So we should do Purva Paksha of the West, is what I have told them. And we should have comparative religion, comparative philosophy, different ideas of history taught to our next generation of spiritual leaders. So the fact that these gurus are taking this matter seriously and inviting me back to teach more is a good sign. I think that as India rises in material terms and in business terms, there is also a renewed self-confidence to discover who we really are and throw away the colonial model that we've been taught. So the third group that like this are people in the corporate world. So I was hosted by a few corporate groups and groups of industrialists, businessmen, who want to know that when we are on the world stage, which Indian businesses are, when we go on the world stage and we negotiate with Americans, with Chinese, with Japanese, with French and Russians, each of them have a sense of who they are in terms of their distinctiveness. The Russian is not wanting to be mixed as an Englishman. He's very clear on what it means to be a Russian. The Chinese is very sure about his sense of what Chinese means, its history, its ideology. Japanese, no matter how progressive and how modernized they are, they're still very Japanese in their culture. So who are we, they want to know. Our Indians want to know. Who are we when they are all being themselves? Who are we? And the fact that they have this need, that they have this desire to understand, that they think that the question is a valid question, and they're inviting people like me, is very encouraging. So I would say that the market for this type of thinking starts with the academy and the gurus and the corporate professionals.
All right, so you really, it sounds like you've really tapped into the zeitgeist of our time and kind of a sea change in the way that we're looking at these new things. But for the majority of us who are, in classrooms and schools and just anywhere else where Western Universalism is still very present, what kind of advice would you have for how to push back against it in our own lives in what could seem like a more minor way?
So first, get my book and read it.
All right.
Okay?
And where can we do that?
And you go to www.beingdifferentbook.com.
Okay,
One word,
Being
Being Different Book. The word book is important. It's beingdifferentbook.com because Being Different was already taken. So beingdifferentbook.com. And there you'll see excerpts, you'll see a lot of videos. You can actually spend 10 hours just watching videos of discussions, debates, like last night's discussion with the Harvard professor. We're going to put it up in a few days. I had a discussion with Mark Tully, famous BBC correspondent in India, and he talked as an Anglican member of the Anglican Church, very openly, very proudly, and I talked as a Hindu, and we had a 1.5-hour conversation on being different. So a lot of information you can get by watching these videos and the various material posted there, and the book is available. You can click and buy the book.
Okay.
I think that's the first step, because the book is very, I believe that these are very original, out-of-the-box, new ideas on what's different about us. And it's not political, so I'm not asking people to have anything to do with any political movement or political organization. This is more philosophy. So it's a philosophical view on how we are different, and in our lifestyle how we are different, rather than a political mobilization.